Shin Megami Tensei V fans, Shin Megami Tensei fans, SMT fans are fed up. There was so much talk about the reviews for Shin Megami Tensei V that have came out from the local press. Obviously, this is the launch week for the game, so I'm super excited to talk about some different things with it. But we're fed up. They're fed up. Everyone's fed up when it comes to it. And the comparison, the unneeded comparisons, in my opinion, when it comes to certain things, okay? Not the almighty, like, you can't compare it at all, because everyone has. But some of the comparisons in these reviews have just pissed some SMT fans off. They've had enough when it comes to it online. So we're going to discuss it. But before we get into that, what's up, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're someone new. Click that notification bell to get my videos first. So let's talk about this, because recently there's been reviews for Shin Megami Tensei V, and for the most part they've been glowing. The game has an 87 average. That's one of the best rated games of the year. It's looking so good. It's an evolution of the Shin Megami Tensei, I would say, franchise in so many different ways when it comes to battling. It's done in a very great way. The presentation is more beautiful and better than ever. The game structure is fantastic. There is just so many stuff, even quality of life features built in from the beginning that we didn't necessarily have to ask for. So I am very happy with what they've done with SMT V, and for the most part the reviews reflect that. You don't get an 87 by being a bum game. I can tell you that right now. It's hard to get a high 80s average. It's hard to get above an 85, to be honest, right? Heck, we've had some Game of the Year nominees, Game of the Year winners not even get, that high of a score and everything. So it's not like it's an easy task when it comes down to it, especially with so many people reviewing and so many different opinions. So I'm not knocking the fact that, the score of the game or anything, or I'm not upset at that. But what I'm saying is why people are fed up is that they're fed up because Shin Megami Tensei, and constantly being compared to Persona, not even Persona, the franchise in the past, but Persona 5 to be exact, being constantly compared, as Shin Megami Tensei is a franchise that started before. The spin-off is Persona, and on top of that, Shin Megami Tensei 4, Shin Megami Tensei 5, this franchise by itself has had a long history, a long legacy of titles that it's already established itself as different. It's not like they split yesterday or something like that, or it was a spin-off that was just recently. It's been decades now. It's been decades to the point. So SMT fans went to some reviews, certain reviews, IGN was one of them. Shout outs to IGN though, I do like them. Went to one of them and basically just bombed them to hell and back when it comes down to it. And even on the website for the review, people went there and just loaded it up. If you go to the Twitter page where they do the comparison with Persona, at least that's how they try to get you in, is, man, people are just sitting there and putting all sorts of stuff, getting ratioed left and right across the board. So I'm trying to give you guys a reason why SMT fans are kind of fed up with that. And I get it to an extent. So let me make sure that I play a little bit of both sides here. Like, I completely get the fact that, Persona is a spin-off from it. They are similar, right? They are so similar in some respects when it comes to the enemies and when it comes to the battle system, when it comes to a number of different things. So let's just make sure that we get that out of the way. So I understand to a degree, but at the same time, when you're reviewing a product, in my humblest of opinions, okay, when you're reviewing a product, the product needs to stand alone on its own legs. And if you have a history of that franchise standing alone, a history of a fan base of people standing alone with that franchise and what they do in there, structure-wise, gameplay-wise, the best thing to do would be to compare it to that franchise. Even if you haven't played the previous games beforehand, you should at least know what the updates, what the upgrades, the flow of the franchise, so you can better inform the viewers of what it does above the other thing. So therefore, your review can be more complete for more people. The game can stand on its own. It's been around for 30 years or whatever the case is. It's not using Persona as a crutch. SMT has been around for a while. It doesn't sell as much as Persona. Obviously, Persona 5 has done better than all of the SMT games, a lot of them, but they've still been around. It's still been a profitable franchise. It's still something that can stand on its own legs. And if someone, just for example, somebody new comes into the fray and they don't even know what Persona 5 is, let's say they didn't play Persona 5, they have nothing to do with it, constantly using persona in a review can confuse the person who maybe has never played a Persona game and has only played SMT, or has never played Persona or SMT and just wants to know about that game. Now, that person can block out what was said about Persona, but if you're using it to try to make a point multiple times in a review without actually talking about the structure and what SMT does, if you're constantly basing your opinion, negative or positive, based off of a separate game going into that, that can mislead viewers in so many different ways and potentially get them to miss out on something that they know that they would love. I personally feel that any structured review that uses Persona 5 and wants to compare, it should probably be done at the end after you have talked about and what is going on with the game itself. Using itself to kind of talk about it and then go on and say that. And I think that's where the SMT fans are fed up. That's where they've had a problem with it, because some reviews have it like right at the beginning. They're already saying the Persona stuff when SMT sits on its own. Really, it does. It's not a story. It's not something about where you're going and playing, you know, dating and you're out there happy-go-lucky. There's some serious-ish happening out there, man. There's some serious stuff, and you don't even trust anybody. It's hard to trust anybody in SMT games. That is just the atmosphere, the feeling, the mood of the game. Everyone's trying to do their best to save the whole world from ruin, and there really isn't any type of normal time to just sit around. I'll give you guys a perfect example of this. Heck, even in the first, I would say, act of the game that you have based off of the reviews, like, it takes a while to get through there, but in their time, it's only one day. So this story and everything kind of goes in quickly. There is no time to be sitting around and getting to know people and dating and playing baseball or going out to the burger joint and all that. That is not what SMT is about. It has a whole different flow and structure. And if you go into that way, instead of basing it off of something else, then you'll have a better perspective in terms of informing viewers what is going on. And then at the end, you can say, well, what you personally like more. I get that, but I just feel that when you talk about an SMT game in a review, and that's okay if you do want to bring up Persona, whatever the case is, like, I get that, but at the same time, I just feel that it's a bit disingenuous to the franchise that's already established itself in terms of what it does. So I get it, Persona's a spinoff, so there's going to be the comparisons, whatever the case is, but nobody would say the same thing in a review with, like, let's say, for example, like Elden Ring. Like, oh, well, I didn't get to, you know, talk to anybody or date anybody else in the game. Nobody would say that. That's not the style of the game. And that's not the style of a Shin Megami Tensei game. It's just not that. So I just feel that that should be the way that people kind of go about it. And that's the reason why SMT fans are so fed up or angry or whatever the case is. Like, it's not a huge deal to the point where people need to riot or abuse the reviewers and stuff like that, because apparently that stuff's going on. So if you're one of those people, stop it, you know? And I've made more jokes about it, more so than anything. But I've talked about this before on my own channel. I have some videos up that SMT 5 is not like Persona 5, you know, and that is a good thing. That is an absolute good thing, because we don't need the same type of game. We really don't, from the same company. Like, we don't need that. I love the structure. I love what they do. So for some people, that Persona structure and, you know, micromanaging and going into mementos and only having certain things there, then having to go out, then having a day being taken up, and then having this day being that, and having all these things interrupting you and stopping you and going to school and answering questions and all that, that's for some people, and that's fine. That's completely fine. But for other people, SMT and the structure of actually having an open-ended game to where you can fight freely and do what you want is more appealing. You know, so going into the mindset of it's Persona and it's not Persona, you know what I'm saying, can really affect in terms of what some people think based on it, and maybe make them skip something that's going to be absolutely incredible. This happened to me a number of years ago, you know, with IGN when it comes to Lost Odyssey. They said a few things, but then I was like, okay, maybe it's not as great as, you know, what it was being hyped up to be. And that ended up being one of the worst mistakes, because I skipped it based off of what was said. And then when I put it myself, I was like, wait a minute, hold up here. Like, what's going on? Like, this is one of the greatest RPGs of all time, you know? So it's just one of those things that I'm trying to explain what the issue is. Like, I'm not personally mad or anything like that. I haven't personally abused anybody from there. I'm never going to do that. But I'm just trying to give you guys some background and like an explanation on what is happening with it and why SMT fans are split up. We don't need to compare Persona 5 to everything when it comes to SMT. It's established itself. It can be different. You're okay to like one more than the other. That's no problem there. If you love the structure of Persona 5, that's fine, but it's its own separate thing. And that's what it does, just like SMT is its own separate thing, and that's what it does. And when Persona 6 comes out, and if it doesn't have the same structure or open-endedness or enemies that you can see on the map, and you actually know what the enemy is, all the cool things they've added in, if it doesn't have that in Persona 6, that doesn't mean you need to sit there and compare, you know, Shin Megami Tensei 5 over and over inside reviews. Just base it off of what Persona 6 does and what it does compared to its predecessor, and how did it improve, or where is it worse, or whatever the case is. So that's kind of my thoughts on it when it comes down to it. So what are your thoughts when it comes to this? Are Shin Megami Tensei fans just being babies? Do they actually have some room for concern here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.